The Bold and the Beautiful, Luna's new obsession, Electra's baby, a stolen legacy, and the war that tears the Spencers apart in the chaotic world of The Bold and the Beautiful. Where loyalty and betrayal walk hand in hand and love is often a weapon, the tension is about to erupt in a way that absolutely no one saw coming. Just when the Spencer family begins to pick up the shattered pieces from Luna's last destructive game, a new nightmare takes shape. Luna, cornered, furious, and desperate, shifts her gazine this time. The target is Electra. Her pregnancy, once a symbol of new beginnings, is now a bullseye in Luna's darkest plot yet. Electra, glowing with the news of her pregnancy, believes she's stepping into a joyful chapter of her life. The father of her child stands by her. The Spencer legacy is continuing. She's finally gaining the trust of Bill Spencer, and for once, her name is spoken with hope instead of scandal. But unknown to her, the walls are already closing in. Luna, watching from the shadows of her failed plan with Will, refuses to be forgotten. Her obsession with becoming a Spencer isn't overreach anything. It's reached a terrifying new level. Will has grown cold. Since the truth came out about the baby, the lies, the manipulation, his heart has hardened. He sees Luna for what she is, a master manipulator with no limits. The marriage they were forced into is dead behind closed doors. The public sees smiles and appearances, but inside the Spencer estate, it's silence, avoidance, and a seething rage. Luna knows her grip on Will is slipping, and in the absence of love, she turns to something she can control, the narrative. That's when the whispers begin. Luna starts planting stories. Electra, she says, isn't who she claims to be. Her pregnancy, suspicious. Her intentions, questionable. She paints herself as a misunderstood soul, a victim of a jealous rival trying to steal her rightful place. But that's just the beginning. Luna isn't content with gossip. She wants control. And if she can't have Will through love, she do it through legacy, through blood, through the child. Her plan is calculated, methodical, horrifying. She will take Electra's baby, not kill, not harm, but replace. She will make it look like Electra lost the baby and vanish with the real one. Then she emerge with the child as her own, claiming a miracle pregnancy, positioning herself as the true matriarch of the Spencer future. She believes that once the baby is in her arms, since Will sees her with their child, he'll have no choice but to accept her. Bill will protect her for the sake of the heir. And the rest of the world? They'll never know. Electra begins to feel it. The looks, the subtle sabotage, the offhand comments about her health. Her vitamins go missing. She wakes up groggy after eating something Luna kindly made for her. And then the hospital reports start to get inconsistent. Her OBGYN is suddenly replaced by a new specialist recommended by someone from Spencer PR. Her test results are lost and refiled under a different name. She begins to doubt herself. Is she imagining it? Is the stress of motherhood playing tricks on her? But she's not alone. Liam starts noticing the changes. He confronts Bill, who at first dismisses it as drama. But Bill is no fool. When he begins connecting the dots, way Luna suddenly shows up at every family function, the way she always hovers near Electra, the way she asks far too many questions about birth plans, she realizes they may all be walking into another nightmare. And this time, it's not just about love or manipulation. It's about a child. The family splits. Brooke, Katie, and Hope rally around Electra. Wyatt begins investigating Luna's movements. And Will, ashamed of what he helped unleash, starts to quietly cooperate with Liam. Together, they trace Luna's finances, uncovering a series of strange transactions, payments to a former midwife, a clinic in Mexico with no public records, and a woman known for off-the-grid births. The evidence is undeniable. Luna is building a parallel pregnancy, and she's preparing to swap the babies. Finn re-enters the picture. He and Electra share mutual concern with victims of Luna's past madness. Together, they push for round-the-clock security, a private medical team, DNA tracking from the first heartbeat. But Luna is always one step ahead. She's not just waiting for the birth. She's planning an ambush. The climax builds fast. Elektra goes into early labor too early. But the Spencer family is prepared. As she's rushed to the hospital, Luna springs her trap. She's intercepted in the hallway by fake Emsher to reroute her ambulance to a private location. But this time, it's Bill Spencer who steps in. Not just as a CEO or a father, but as a man who has had enough. His security detail surrounds the operation, exposing the entire scheme. Luna is caught again, but not without consequences. In the struggle, chaos erupts. Elektra's health declines rapidly. The stress, the trauma, the premature labor, it all comes crashing down. She's rushed to the OR, and for a terrifying moment, everyone fears the worst. But miraculously, both mother and child survive. The baby is born fragile, but breathing. A true Spencer. Luna, meanwhile, is detained once more. But this time, the charges are greater. Conspiracy to kidnap, attempted fetal endangerment, medical fraud, and obstruction of justice. She pleads insanity. But the court, the media, and even the public have turned. The image of the misunderstood woman is shattered. She's exposed for what she is, a threat. Not just to one family, but to anyone she deems an obstacle. Bill, shaken, takes full responsibility. He apologizes to Elektra publicly. He calls a press conference to denounce the manipulation and promises the Spencer name will stand for strength, not scandal. Will makes a tearful statement of his own, expressing remorse, acknowledging his weakness, and pledging to be a protector for his new sibling. Elektra, now a mother, becomes a symbol of survival. She refuses to be painted as a victim. Instead, she reclaims her story. She begins working with foundations that protect pregnant women from domestic manipulation and trauma. Her rise is meteoric. The Spencer name, once dragged through scandal after scandal, now shines with the promise of redemption for her. But behind the bars of a psychiatric facility, Luna does not sleep. She watches the news. She sees the photos. She hears the stories. And she waits. She believes this isn't over. That baby should have been hers. That Will still loves her deep down. That fate made a mistake. Because in the world of the bold and the beautiful, villains don't fade. They evolve. And Luna, she's evolving. She's learning. And next time, she won't fail. Because she doesn't want revenge anymore. She wants legacy. And legacy comes through blood. The bold and the beautiful. Wedding wore Brooke and Ridge's ceremony shattered by secrets, betrayal, and an ultimatum that changes everything when Ridge Forrester proposed to Brooke Logan yet again. The world of the bold and the beautiful buzzed with disbelief. The legendary on-again, off-again couple had burned through decades of passion, betrayal, and heartbreak. But this time, it wasn't the slow, orchestrated reunion fans had come to expect. It was sudden, rushed. A whirlwind proposal met with a breathless yes from Brooke. And just days later, the Forrester estate was ablaze with wedding preparations, flowers everywhere, press waiting outside, and tensions thick it could snap. But what was supposed to be the ultimate reunion, Ridge and Brooke finally sealing their fate, instead detonated into one of the most explosive events in the history of the Forrester family. From the moment guests began arriving, it was clear this wasn't going to be a celebration. It was a battleground. Taylor Hayes arrived first, not quietly and not alone. With her chin high and voice calm but cold, she walked into the ceremony with her own contingent, Steffi, Finn, and, to everyone's shock, Thomas. While Steffi wore a mask of polite neutrality, it was clear she stood firmly behind her mother. Taylor, having shared decades of love and heartbreak with Ridge, knew this wedding was more than rushed, it was manipulated. She wasn't here to watch. She was here to stop it. Hope Logan stood in the middle of it, all literally and emotionally. Dressed in a soft blush gown, she looked every bit the radiant daughter of the bride. But her eyes were distant. Her mind wasn't on her mother. It was on Thomas, the father of her child, the man she had recently begun seeing again in secret. And when Thomas walked into the venue, his presence wasn't silent or polite. It was defiant. Just before Ridge took his place at the altar, Thomas made his move. Stepping forward in front of the guests, he declared he had no faith in the marriage, no faith in Brooke, no trust in what this wedding meant. He claimed it was a sham union forged in lies, ego, and selfishness. Taylor tried to temper her son's rage, but it was too late. The guests stirred. Murmurs rippled across the rows of perfectly dressed elites. Carter, officiating the ceremony, froze mid-sentence. Brooke stared at Thomas in disbelief, while Ridge looked ready to explode. But that was just the opening act. As Carter resumed, asking if anyone objected to the union, silence fell, until Taylor raised her hand. A gasp moved through the room. She stepped forward with measured grace and declared that while she did not object to Ridge finding happiness, she did object to the lies being swept under the rug. She claimed Ridge was not entering this marriage free of emotional manipulation and that something had been kept from him. Brooke was hiding a truth, and Ridge had a right to know before saying "I do." Ridge, clearly caught off guard, looked from Taylor to Brooke. Hope tried to speak, tried to protect her mother, but then came the final blow. A courier entered the ceremony uninvited, unknown. He handed Ridge a small package. No return address. Just one note, "Open before you say yes." The room froze. Ridge looked at Brooke, then at Taylor. He opened the package. Inside was a flash drive and a note that simply read, "You deserve the truth." Carter paused. Ridge signaled to Charlie to plug it into the nearby monitor used for ceremony visuals. The screen lit up, and a video played grainy surveillance footage from an office inside Forrester Creations. What unfolded stunned the room. Brooke was seen in a private meeting with Donna and Katie, discussing a legal maneuver to quietly shift a portion of Ridge's personal shares in Forrester Creations to her name under the guise of marital security. Not only that, but she mentioned contacting Ridge's legal team without his knowledge, using their rekindled romance to gain his signature on documents he'd never fully read. In the video, Brooke says clearly, "Once this wedding happens, I'll never have to worry about Taylor or anyone else challenging me again. Ridge is mine in name and on paper." Silence dropped like a hammer. Ridge's face turned to stone. Brooke's hand trembled as she reached for him, but he stepped back. Hope stood paralyzed. Even Thomas looked stunned. He had not seen this coming. Taylor, though shaken, didn't smile. She simply looked at Ridge and said, "Now you know." Brooke tried to explain. She said the footage was edited. She said it was taken out of context. She blamed Donna, blamed Katie, blamed the pressure, the fear of losing Ridge again. But no one moved. No one believed her. And then Carter did what no one expected. He asked Ridge if he still wished to proceed. Ridge looked at Brooke. The woman he'd fought for, betrayed for, returned to time and time again. Then he looked at Taylor, at Hope, at Thomas, at Steffi, at his family. And he said, "I don't." The wedding collapsed. Brooke, stunned, stood alone at the altar as guests began to murmur and shift. Reporters outside sensed chaos. Inside, it was unraveling in real time. Bill arrived late, just in time to witness the fallout. He demanded answers. Donna confronted Katie. Hope fled the scene in tears. Thomas followed not after Brooke, but after Hope. Taylor quietly approached Ridge and whispered, "You finally saw her for who she is." But Ridge wasn't smiling. He was devastated. Not because he lost Brooke, but because he'd allowed himself to believe again that this time would be different. As the guests cleared out, the aftershocks began. Eric, disgusted by the manipulation, considered removing Brooke from Forrester entirely. Steffi pushed for a full audit of all legal transactions involving Brooke and Ridge. Thomas, emboldened, moved forward with a petition to formally block Brooke from any controlling interest in the company, citing unethical influence. Hope disappeared for days, unreachable, torn between loyalty to her mother and her tangled feelings for Thomas. When she resurfaced, it wasn't at Brooke's house. It was at Thomas's loft. The press erupted. Brooke Logan humiliated at altar. Forrester wedding ends in scandal. Rich Forrester betrayed. The fallout touched every corner of their lives. But the biggest twist was still to come. The source of the footage. Anonymous. But Ridge had a theory. Someone with access to legal documents. Someone with motive. Someone quiet. Someone like RJ. Because sometimes betrayal doesn't come from your enemies. It comes from your blood. And in The Bold and the Beautiful, the truth always finds a way to ruin the fairy tale.